Call the meeting to order. Item B is the verification of public notice and approval of agenda. Before we approve that agenda, we have one addition under item B, verification and notice of public notice and approval of agenda. A motion to approve the agenda with amendment to appoint Nicole Lear as the deputy clerk.
Temporary deputy clerk.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Did she pass any grant background?
Yes.
What do you have?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Item C, a moment of silence to reflect on the business at hand. Item D, the Watoma Area School District Strategic Plan. Mission statement, creating positive foundations for the success of our children.
Strategic directions, business and community involvement through internships, job shadowing, and mentorship.
Develop marketing of the district and community through branding.
Improve work and people skills?
Thanks, Barry.
You bet.
Develop parental contacts, promoting school involvement.
Build productive relationships with the medical field to increase the support and open lines of communication to support students with mental health issues.
Item E, recognition of persons wishing to address the board. We have one on the list, Coral Newton. Coral, you have 3 minutes. It's all yours.
So dear Mr. Reinhammer, Mrs. Primo, and school board members, I am here to tell you how thankful I am for the support you have given to me and my coworkers this past year. I am especially grateful for our 4 days a week schedule with a Wednesday workday, while we have a group of students who are quarantined, a group voluntarily virtual, a group in person, and a group of students who just got back from quarantine. The quality of the lessons of our virtual learners has greatly improved. I am a special education teacher, and I was going to share with you how Wednesdays have improved my virtual lessons and my ability to meet the needs of my students, but I decided to share a specific story with you about how the Wednesday workdays benefited one of my students. This student has disability-related needs in the areas of reading, math, and coping skills. I attend all of his classes to help him understand the content, read the directions aloud, break down larger assignments into smaller chunks, and offer behavioral support when frustrations get high. This student came to school and was suddenly sent home at 10:30 in the morning because a sibling was showing COVID symptoms. He would be home for the next 2 weeks. When I thought he was at Fayette, I received an email from him saying, "Guess where I am? Home." I could feel his panic through the email. Because all my team members had already created their videos and materials ahead of time for the lessons that day by utilizing their Wednesday workday, all of his accommodations and modifications were met in accordance to his IEP virtually. He was able to listen to videos teaching the lesson and additional videos explaining the homework. After completing the homework, he could watch another video explaining the answers to know if he got them right or wrong. Wednesdays, I was able to meet with him through Google Meets and talk about routines at home, appropriate ways of handling emotions, and independent problem-solving skills. I cannot imagine how difficult this situation could have been if we were not fully prepared. Preparing virtual lessons takes time, and you gave us time, so thank you. Many of my students need free teaching for grade level content. By lessons being virtual, students who are in person are also benefiting. If they are still confused on a learning target and we are meeting through Google Meet on Wednesdays, we will frequently refer back to past lessons, rewatch videos together, and strengthen our understanding. The information and quality of these videos can be credited to the time spent preparing them on Wednesdays.
Thank you, Coral. Item F, staff and student presentations. The presentation of the fiscal year 20 financial statements and audit.
I'd like to introduce Joe Peterson. He's the head auditor in our audit this year, and he's going to present just an overview of our statements. Does anybody want a copy of the statements just to for now or forever?
Guys are overachievers. I'll just give you guys this.
All right, I kind of feel like a broken record coming here the last few years, nothing real major to talk about within the financials, so I'll kind of go over kind of brief how the financials are set up, so you can find some more information on there if you want. The first few pages are some required letters Page 4 gets into what we, if you're a business, so your balance sheet, page 5 would be income statement. Most of the stuff on page 4, there's some detail within the notes of financial statements, so if you're looking for like, some more detail on the fixed assets, it'd be on page 25 and 26. More detail related to the pension and OPEB information is pages 28 through 40 within the financial statements. Page 6 is just the cash basis balance sheet for the funds for the district. And there's a reconciliation balance to net position or equity to page 4 on the bottom of that page. And that does not include any of the fiduciary funds or the food service. Those are on their own separate pages. Food service is on page 9 to 11. There's a decent sized loss this year in food service due to salaries are up and sales are down.
Yeah, and we were required by the state to bring down our balance because it was more than 3 months of reserve.
Yep.
And so we bought a lot of different things that we needed, baby equipment, tables, chairs.
And that's not a typical year for food service. So if you're looking at on food service stuff, don't get too nervous about that. It's not a, like Cindy said, it was by design to bring that fund balance down. Pages 14 through 43 are the notes of financial statements. And then kind of near the back of the financial statements is where I think it's probably easiest to read. Page 44 is a budget comparison for the general fund and special ed. It's got budget listed and the actual costs. You can see the differences there. Pages 50 through 61 would be each fund. Again, it's like comparative to this year to last year. I think looking at comparative financials are a little bit easier than just looking at just one single year, so you can see how year to year you're doing. Page 62 is just the Fund 60 people activity account. That will be changing in this next fiscal year due to a DPI change or a WASD change. So that'll be reported a little bit differently with revenue and expenses rather than just the balance sheet items on that. And then pages 63 through 65 are your federal and state awards. So the money you get from the federal government, money you get from the state government. I'll go as quick as I can be. Like I said, there's nothing really major to bring up. The only financial statement or financial statement finding is the prep of the financial statements. All the clients that we work with, we've got that in there. You guys rely on us as auditors to prepare these. Not that we couldn't prepare them, but the amount of time it would take to prepare them. Everything she's doing, it takes us probably another 40 to 50 hours just to compile the information into this financial statement. And that's not getting the extra education with new GASBs and new FASBs and keeping up to date on new regulations. So that's the only finding, and that's every single audit we do in our firm has that finding. So that's nothing to be allowed. One thing that we don't have in this one is the proper federal and state award schedule, so pages 63 to 65. Cindy actually prepares that, and she's the only audit client that I have that does prepare that. So most of our other audits have another finding in there for the preparation of federal and state awards. Cindy prepares that, I review that to make sure it's accurate before we put it in the financial statements. So that is one thing that she's taken the bull by the horns and made it a little bit easier on us for the audit. I want to do that really quick, and I don't know if you had much time to review it. If you've got questions later on, feel free to email me or get in touch with Cindy. She will be in contact with me with any questions answered.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Item G, administrative reports. Tom and Dad.
Yeah, just, we found out this weekend and today that Kerry Punchinsky was able to get a hold of some more antigen swabs. And so we're going to start working with students. So particularly if a student was ill, Kerry's going to have a sort of a set location where the family could bring the student in to be swabbed. Or if the student was in close contact, but they're not at home with an active case. So on day 7, they could come back. It'd be day 8, but after day 6 or 7, she can swab them, see if they're negative. If they're negative, they have no symptoms, they could come back, so they don't Again, some more strategies to try to keep kids in school. We're already doing that with staff, and some staff have members to keep staff in school. But she was curious to find a way to get a hold of things. And so we're there. Vaccine-wise, put the interest survey out. Some of you guys have put your input in it. Appreciate that. We're about 115 people that said they're interested in the vaccine. Probably a little less than half of the people that could. So we'll. I don't know if you noticed today, but they came out and said that the police and the EMS or EMTs are now going to start getting the vaccine. They believe educators are probably right after that group. So it could be 2-3 weeks from now that we have that availability. So when that occurs, I'll be in touch. That's it.
Great. Jen, anything to add? No. Okay. Doug?
Not this time.
Nothing to add? Adam?
Two things. One, I just want to thank the administration with all the procedures we have. I know Tom mentioned they're scary, but we've dealt with a school that wasn't really organized, and it affected our girls' basketball team in a negative way. And I think having worked with Carrie, she's very organized, and again, Ms. Johnson, Mr. Ryan, Mr. Beatty, all of us are very organized at the high school level where it's not affecting us. So again, I want to thank those guys for all the hard work they put in. Kind of makes my job a lot easier. And then second thing, every year WADA, which is the Athletic Directors Association, nominates, or we're able to nominate people for the things that they've done for athletics. And that was 2 years ago. Obviously, we didn't have a conference this year because of COVID. But Nicole Lear received a plaque. Again, we nominated her because of all the work that she's done for the Booster Club, all the work she's done for the Backboard Club, the fundraisers, the facility items that we've received over the years. So I'd like to present Nicole Lear with this plaque, and again, a round of applause.
I can't even play sports. Not even that. Wow. Really on the mantle. Thank you.
Deb, anything to add? Okay. Jim?
No.
There he is. You're set?
Nothing right now.
Okay. Caitlin?
Not a comment.
Nothing to add. Joel? Okay. Sierra?
Nothing to add.
Nothing to add. Cindy, you want to say anything? We're good? Thank you for your work on the audit. Board members, anything in particular to add at this point? Student council?
Alright, so I'm going to talk about our accomplishments. On December 22nd, we hosted Ugly Holiday Sweater Day for our staff and students, and there was a great turnout. And Homecoming 2021 dates were announced, so we began brainstorming ideas for an overall theme and individual dress-up days. We will be meeting for the next few months to discuss and vote, and will then communicate that information to the district and community. And the dates are September 20th to 24th.
And then future projects, this is tentatively scheduled, but my community blood drive Loganville is usually in the parking lot from 9 a.m. until noon. Due to low numbers from the last blood drive, Ms. Leica was working with the community blood center to see if any changes should be made. During the last drive, we were on a hybrid schedule and was held on a Wednesday. So students working virtually, some runners didn't show up for their appointments. Unfortunately, the blood drive dates are set the prior year, so without knowing that Wednesdays would be virtual days, it couldn't be rescheduled. Therefore, conversations are ongoing to potentially make changes to the next blood drive, which is scheduled for February 12th. More information will be forthcoming. And then just continue with Homecoming 2021, which is the membership.
Okay, good. Maybe a real homecoming. Thank you. Item H, consent agenda. We have the minutes of the December 14th, 2020 monthly meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Nicole and a second by Brian. Then we need any further discussion on that? We need a roll call.
Brian Guskey.
Here.
Barry Mastercola.
Yes.
Adam Heading.
Yes.
Karen Piaski.
Yes.
Jeanette Tome.
Yes.
Ross Peterson.
Yes.
Nicole Lear, yes.
Motion carries. Item 2, staffing. If nobody has a reason to take any of these out individually, I would entertain a motion to take items 2A1 and B1 and 2 together.
And so moved.
1 and B 1 and 2.
Second.
Motion by Barry, second by Adam. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Brian Geske,
Yep.
Barry Mastercola,
Yes.
Adam Henning,
Yes.
Karen Piaski,
Yes.
Jeanette Tome,
Yes.
Ross Peterson.
Yes.
Nicole Lear, yes.
Motion carried. Item I, action items, business and finance. Approve, 1A, approve the December 2020 treasurer's report.
I make a motion to approve the treasurer's report as printed.
Second.
Motion by Karen and second by Adam, although, any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Brian Geske,
Yep.
Barry Mastercola, Adam Henning,
Yes.
Karen Piaski,
Yes.
Jeanette Tome,
Yes.
Ross Peterson.
Yes.
Nicole Lear, yes.
Motion carried. Item 1B, approve the vouchers and payroll.
I make a motion to approve the vouchers and payroll as printed.
Second.
Motion by Karen, second by Brian. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Brian Geske,
Yep.
Barry Mastercola, Adam Henning,
Yes.
Karen Piaski,
Yes.
Jeanette Tome,
Yes.
Ross Peterson.
Yes.
Nicole Lear, yes.
Motion carried. Item C, ratify the financial year 20 financial statements as presented earlier.
So move to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion by Barry, second by Nicole. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Brian Geske,
Yes.
Barry Mastercola,
Yes.
Adam Henning,
Yes.
Karen Piaski,
Yes.
Jeanette Tome,
Yes.
Ross Peterson.
Yes.
Nicole Lear, yes.
Motion carried. Item 2, curriculum student achievement. 2A, approve new course proposal, computer science 1, which is up for second consideration. We discussed this at last month's meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the new course proposal.
Second.
Motion by Nicole and second by Adam. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Brian Geske,
Yes.
Barry Mastercola, Adam Henning,
Yes.
Karen Piaski,
Yes.
Jeanette Tome,
Yes.
Ross Peterson.
Yes.
Nicole Lear, yes.
Motion carried. Item 3, policy. 3A, approve the extension of the Tommy School District FFCRA Employee Handbook Addendum.
So for some of you in the business field, you already know this, but on December 31st, the FFCRA lapsed or ended, and the FFCRA provided coverage for our staff as far as leave, different types of leave, and we do have an addendum that's on the back of the employee handbook that you have in your packet. My recommendation to the board is that we continue what's in this addendum until June 30th of 2021, pretty much taking us through the school year. I believe that that allows the staff to potentially get vaccinated before that time. Their leave would not be damaged if they're close contact or if they do contract COVID-19, similar to the way it was from March all the way until December 31st. So asking for continuation of this, really under the guise of the school district. We were not receiving very small amounts of money because we don't pay taxes, the payroll taxes. We were doing some things through FICA, but we can take money out of the CARES Act to help pay for subs. We can continue to do that. But this, again, I feel protects our employees until June 30th of 2021. After that time, we could examine at the June board meeting, perchance the vaccines don't go the way we think that they were going to go, to see if we need to continue, or maybe the federal government will come up with something in that time. However, if all goes well, if someone were to refuse the vaccine, and then we get into next school year and they become sick due to COVID, it would be on their sick leave. This would no longer exist, as long as there wasn't some type of federal legislation out there. So my recommendation, continue this through June 30th, 2021 to protect the staff.
Entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Barry and a second by Brian. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Brian Geske,
Yes.
Barry Mastercola,
Yes.
Adam Henning,
Yes.
Karen Piaski,
Yes.
Jeanette Tome,
Yes.
Ross Peterson.
Yes.
Nicole Lear, yes.
Motion carried. Item 3B, approve the school year 21-22 Tommy School District calendar as received tonight.
So this was shown at the last meeting, and there was just a discussion about spring break, whether we should do it the first week of March or the second. I did provide some data that the first week of March could potentially impact events. There's a chance boys, girls basketball could be in the playoffs. There is team state wrestling. The second week in March has a bigger impact on track practice. Is probably the biggest impact that it could have. And so my recommendation would be to impact practice and not events, would be to recommend that spring break be March 7th through the 11th and March 22.
Will there be then a follow-up conversation then with the coaches that students are not penalized for taking the opportunity to have a spring break and so forth?
Yes, that can happen. That will happen.
I move to approve with that recommendation.
I'll second.
Motion by Adam, second by Brian. Any further discussion on the calendar? Roll call vote.
Brian Dusky,
Yes.
Barry Mastercola,
Yes.
Adam Heading,
Yes.
Karen Piaski,
Yes.
Jeanette Tome,
Yes.
Ross Peterson,
Yes.
Nicole Lear, yes.
Item 3C, approve 2021-22 open enrollment spaces.
So each year in January, we have to make a determination on what open enrollment we're going to allow for the next school year. Open enrollment starts, I believe, on February 3rd and runs till the end of May. And so, find my spot here for a second. So Jim Ledoux, who's our special education director, and I sat down and actually used a formula to look at our special education caseloads and our speech and language pathology caseloads. And so what I'm going to recommend with all of that as far as open enrollment is my suggested motion is that we, for 21-22, we do not limit regular education open enrollment in grades 4 K through 12, and we limit special education enrollment to 3 openings in 6th grade only. So we're only allowing special education open enrollment. We have 3 open spots in the 6th grade for next school year. So that means that no other grade level do we have any openings for special education, and we do not have any openings in speech and language pathology. So we would, if we had open enrollment paperwork come in, and let's say 4 students said, I would like to open enroll in 6th grade, and we all have IEPs, the first 3 would have the ability to be open enrolled. The 4th one would not, because it would hit our cap. So again, we look at the students we have, we look at the potential growth for move-ins, and the 6th grade is the only one that has enough space to allow this to happen. I feel like doing this, we could have easily said we're capping everything. We did our diligence here. There are legitimately 3 open spots in 6th grade. So that's my recommendation. Would you like me to recommend that again? Or are you guys good with it?
I got it.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
I move to approve that.
I'll second it.
Motion by Adam, second by Nicole. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Brian Dusky,
Yes.
Barry Mastercola,
Yes.
Adam Heading,
Yes.
Karen Piaski,
Yes.
Jeanette Tome,
Yes.
Ross Peterson,
Yes.
Nicole Lear, yes.
Item J, board governance. Item 1, discussion only, 21-22 instructional model.
So with the open enrollment period coming up in February through May, this is not a vote, but I guess, just so you know where I'm looking at doing it, I guess if we needed to take this to a vote down the road, we could. But my intent is right now to communicate to the families that next year we will not have a standalone virtual education model. That we will be anticipating coming back 5 days in person, and that if we have to go hybrid or if we had to go virtual, we'll have plans for those things, but then we would always expect the children to come back from that. So right now we have a standalone virtual model. Again, my intent is to communicate we will not have that for next year. So therefore, if that was important to families, they could open enroll to a virtual charter school, or they can homeschool during that time. But I feel like it's important that we let our families know that. Again, in talking with the admin team, getting the buy from the school board, I feel like we want to put our efforts towards the 5-day in person for the next school year. Any questions or comments or thoughts on that?
Nothing?
Okay, thank you.
I agree. J2, discussion only, severe weather days and virtual instruction.
So I think, tradition, we have a few days built into our time. In the state of Wisconsin, it used to be 180 days. A few years back, they changed that to hours. You have to have so many instructional hours. Based on the amount of instructional hours we have, we do have a couple of days built in. to offset any severe weather days. And so with Schoology and being able to be virtual and talking with the admin team, we felt like there are also some cultural traditions that come with school, like snow days. And so we were interested in having 2 typical snow days where there would not be instruction. But if it ever went past 2 days, then Schoology would come into play where we would have virtual instruction on those days, so that we're not staying into the summer, we're not going any longer in the school year than we needed to. Also, with that being said, some caveats. If one of those first 2 days it was 50 below, that would be a virtual instruction day, because obviously we don't want students to be outside when it's 50 below zero. But we were looking at 2 legitimate snow days as being non-instructional days. As far as staffing, part of the unification and retention was that teachers would not make up that time. Any hourly employees could use their PTO, paid time off, for that, or unpaid leave if they wanted to. So we are prepared for that. So again, just something, again, if you ever wanted that brought back to the vote, I definitely can bring it next time, but just that latitude of letting kids have a snow day or 2 snow days in a school year. Any questions or thoughts?
I think it's smart. I appreciate that. That's better for staff and students.
Any other comments? Okay, moving along, item 3, discussion only, legislative update.
Talked to Mrs. Baldwin at your Senate, now Senator Baldwin, and basically the only discussion that's really going on is the current COVID bill, and basically the number 1 issue up for discussion is the liability insurance for schools, and it sounds like that's a positive issue, so it sounds like that's going to happen. There was no proposal for the virtual home education. There was some discussion on families getting compensation through the bill, and that is an item that was now stricken from the bill. There will be no compensation for any family members at home. It was just too hard to manage it, I think, is what it came down to. Who was really eligible to receive the benefit, because they don't know who was really doing the job and who isn't. So they took that, that was stricken. That was something that they decided not to follow up on. And then also no WI participation requirements, that's the other issue. And that's really about all she wrote.
Okay. Anybody else, anything to add there?
I would share with you guys, I know the Assembly came up with a pretty stringent, the GOP came up with a pretty stringent bill. The Senate has tried to smooth that over a little bit. They're trying to get some things in there, but trying to get something to Governor Evers that he'll not veto. So I think that's sort of in the works right now. I think they're trying to still get the liability. They're still trying to get some of those things, but there were some pretty stringent things in there that probably would have gotten vetoed immediately. So I know that's the last time. There's the Senate just trying to smooth things over with the Assembly.
Okay, anybody else? Thank you. Item 4, discussion only, review the Wautoma Area School District instructional model timeline.
Sure. And so you guys have the pieces of data in front of you, just sort of to see where we're at. Just want to give you and one is in your packet, I believe, the orange one, and just give you an idea of where we're at virtual right now, sort of on a 1-page document. So when adding up all those students and dividing them by the total number of students in the school district, it's exactly 15%. So 15% of our kids are full-time virtual. I would say at Red Granite, probably at some point in time, it was close to 20%. Right now it's 12%. At Riverview, probably 25%. It's at 14.44 right now. Parkside was close to 30. It's down to 14. And the high school was close to 35% at one time, and now it's down to 21.4. A lot of that is the administrators putting some heat on, working with families on getting kids back in to the school district. So we're getting to the point where these virtual students are using the virtual education wisely. They're maximizing it. The ones who struggled with it are back in the building for the most part. But we're still at 15% of the kids being virtual at this time. As far as quarantine numbers, I think we could have anticipated, when we came out of break, that Monday after break, we could have maybe anticipated it to be at 0, but it wasn't at 0. It was at 7 and 3, 7 students and 3 staff. And then we're up to now 43 students and 3 staff members. So we'll see where next Monday lies as it goes. I told Ross I'm really trying to keep a tight track on the trend lines. It is trending back down already out of the Christmas break. So we're hopeful that maybe that number will decrease by next Monday.
Tom, it's going to be a large part of that's that the basketball should be quarantined.
That is correct, and they are on here, and then they all got cleared today. So I do this so early in the morning, they were cleared by 8 o'clock. So yeah, you're right, Bill. That is for sure. That was probably about 14 kids.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're putting in about 10 a day, probably district-wide, that end up being, like, going home ill, siblings go home because they're ill, and then, a staff member asked me today, emailed, they were just, they're like, I just don't understand, because you'll see later on here, we only have 2 active students right now. How can we have 2 active students and 43 quarantine kids? Those 2 active students didn't impact any of those 43 quarantine kids. It's all things that happened at home, or they came to school and one sibling was sick, so 4 other siblings have to go home. So that's, there's like 4 different scenarios, which I've explained to you guys in the past. So once I explained that to her, she was like, oh, I understand now. But I think everybody thinks this is directly correlated to active cases, and that's not always the situation. And incidences, as you can see, it's a rolling number for students and for staff. And so again, we had a lot of time off between December 14th and January 11th. So the numbers haven't really increased greatly since the last time we met. But again, we were out of school for 12 days out of that time. And then active cases. This will be the end of the second quarter this Friday. So I'll make sure to have that data to see how we compare to the first quarter. I will say right now we're considerably less than the first quarter as far as active cases. So again, that's a positive trend as far as active cases.
When you mentioned, Tom, like, we have some kids going home that are sick, you mentioned we're gonna try to get more tests. We'll be able to like curve that a little bit, like we could give them a test and if, symptoms are common in that category, we give them that test, and we could stop some children having to possibly go home and,
Yeah, so so let's say a child was ill, they had 2 other siblings, if that child was ill and Carrie was able to swab them and it was negative, I don't want to speak for Carrie, but I think she would probably tell them that if the symptoms don't get worse, like if they stay the same, the other kids could come back then. If the symptoms got worse, then she would probably want them to go get a PCR. And then when the child started feeling better, they should come back to school. So yeah, I think it could help cut down the time and the guessing of, because some of the PCR tests are still taking a little bit of time to get back. It's my recommendation that, still to stay with our model, at least when we get to this January, to the February meeting, and again, we continue to analyze and look how things are trending with everything that we're doing in society to make that decision. That's my opinion.
So, I mean, do you feel like, obviously this is an agenda item until this thing is behind us. Do you feel like the February meeting is the time to take a fresh look at it? I mean, we're a month away, or a month ago, almost exactly a month ago, we came back to 4 days a week. And I think everybody can agree, probably everybody in the room can agree, it's been successful, right? So you're recommending that we stay with this. You've already indicated in the fall we're going to have no virtual. So sometime between now and the fall, we have to figure out where we're going with the schedule. So what are your thoughts about when we, the information comes fast. We may have vaccine information here in 2-3 weeks. So I think it makes sense for us to continue to ask the questions and look at, not that we always benchmark what others are doing, but look at what others are doing, what's been successful, what's been not so successful. Because I think the easy thing for us would have been to stay hybrid through Christmas break. If we didn't do that, I think it was the right way. Would you agree?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So how do we continue to keep this? I don't know how the others feel, because we haven't had a discussion yet, but.
Honestly, I guess my feeling on it is that, when we started the school year, we did throw out the carrot that we were going to have a full-time virtual program. Because we didn't know how this was gonna play out, we didn't know what people had, what was going on in their houses, and if people were gonna be at risk. And so we knew some people took advantage of that situation, and I feel like we've pared that back now to where people are really people who are virtual are maximizing. It still takes time and effort though to prepare and to keep tabs on those individuals when you have 15% of the school district is a large number of kids. And then again, we do have some quarantine kids that you throw in there too. So I think the ultimate question would be is, do our quarantine numbers start to decrease? All right, so you start losing that group. And then do we look at sending a message really to our virtual parents that if we were to come back 5 full days, there's a good opportunity that the effort that we've been putting into virtual is not going to be there as much anymore. You know what I mean? That's really a decision I think we would have to bring this to an action item, and a motion would have to be had to say, we want to go 5 days in person, we're sort of cutting, I don't want to say cutting ties, we're going to diminish what's happening because, and we're probably going to have to be synchronous in the classroom for those individuals because we're not going to have time to do asynchronous videos for all the classes and the students and all those type of things. So, I mean, I think that it's all those things wrapped into one, if the board wanted to bring that two together as an action item. But I still believe, I think we need to wait another month to see how things play out from this break and from everything else that's going on. I try not to get too bought into the super spreader COVID virus and those type of things. It's going those variants that are out there and things of that sort. I really want to see.
We can't predict it,
Yeah,
but I
we
think
can't control it.
it's logical to assume that it's going to continue to get better. And if our virtual number is 15% and the quarantines start to go away, maybe that number gets closer to 10%. If I'm playing devil's advocate to it for a moment for the Wednesdays,
Right.
I could say that 10% of our students are causing 90% of our students to get 80% education.
Right. And right now we're really in the ratio. Because we got 15% and you look at quarantine, you're probably looking at another 3%. So really we're 18% of our kids are not here. 1 day out of the week is 20%. So, it's similar to the ratio of time spent. But you're right, if we got that down to 10%, okay, well, that's considerably different than where we're at.
And I think that's how you gotta look at that. I mean, you gotta go strictly by the numbers, because we already know from input from our staff how important that Wednesday workday is, especially with virtual and everything. So it's gonna be a decision on whether, like you said, once we get to a certain point, the energies and the time put forward to virtual, the parents at home gotta understand that may decrease due to the fact of the efforts we're putting back in the students back in school. And I think that's what's for us, I think that's the point of the timeline and watching those numbers and determining when that's gonna be that threshold where we can make that decision.
I think that if we did get to that point of the Wednesdays, I would want to recommend not full scale all the way back in on Wednesdays. I would want us to entertain every Wednesday to be either a late start or early release. I think the number one issue I come across in districts is they may have a plan for virtual kids. It's when that quarantine happens. That's when the issue comes in, and then it's like we have to pivot very quickly. I do know, I think you've expressed to us in the K-8 world or pre-K-8 world, they have a tag team system. They work as a team, and they try to prep together and support each other together. So I just would not want to go cold turkey and go back 5 days a week. I would want us to have, like I said, I think Wednesday, I don't care what day it is, to have that available of like an early release or late start every single Wednesday too. And I would almost entertain if we could, let's just pretend it happens, fourth quarter. I was just with the district today, and they're still having to go 1 full day off in the month, and on a Wednesday, and then the other days are all late starts or early releases. I was also with another district, and it made me feel that we don't have the same plan across the district, I guess. So in the one district I'm with, 9-12 is so different because they're singletons. We have singletons in the high school, and so they do have every Wednesday still virtual for planning because they don't have that team that can say, do this lesson for me. And then K-8 or pre-K-8 has a different plan where they are in school 5 days a week because they have a team approach and they have like that early release and stuff. So I think that when we ever get to that stage, we look at all options. I just would not want to go full steam ahead to, all 5 days.
I think it'd be interesting to come back in February and look at at the data, and then if you say, we start seeing a positive trend as Ross stated, then can we put it on the agenda for March? And, you know, maybe that's what we are making a vote, and maybe we finish out the year strong, or, you know, hope that we're, you know, in a better situation.
What do we need technology-wise? I can't see them on typing here. When you said that if we got to that point of like a certain percentage, what would we need technology-wise? If you said that we would not tell those parents that are virtual, they would be synchronous. Are we set for an opportunity to allow you to get what you need in case this happens and we can pivot? Is a 2-month warning, a month and a half warning? Where could we be at to allow that?
Yeah, I've already reached out to vendors. I've already ordered other cameras, fully intending then, if that's the case, as we move on from tonight, just getting the input that as soon as we can get everything in, then we'll do that. So I think it would be definitely doable. So.
And a little side topic, but I think we're looking at the potential for more CARES money and trying to get cameras and microphones in every room fixed. So for future situations, they'll be there, and we don't have to worry about this situation.
But I think there's gonna be some synchronous virtual learning next year, and the vaccine's not approved for children, so the majority of our student body is not gonna be vaccinated for the foreseeable future.
So there might be quarantine kids. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, certainly in fall and spring of next year, there's gonna be kids in quarantine.
Yeah, I'm agree.
So,
At least through, probably through 2022 for sure. I mean, up to 2022.
yeah, I would think so.
So that was our, looking at potential, maybe before summer, we're trying to get fixed cameras and microphones in the classroom. Thank you.
Anybody else have any other comments? Okay, J5, information only, candidate certification / drawing of lots for name order on the upcoming ballot.
Some waivers go out, I guess, the most votes.
I think one person to draw a name and then the other person to sign. Pick one name.
So Cindy first.
All right. We got
WASD.
Rod at the top and Gary.
Sorry, Gary.
Right where I belong.
Oh, that's fine. I'm fine.
Gary, I saw the vote didn't say lost.
I'm always going to have
Item K, board suggested future agenda items for our monthly meeting on February 8th. Right back here in this room at 6:15. One thing that we can, that I'll mention here, it's been brought to my attention in the past, we've done these board self-evaluation, take a little time to fill those out. Typically we do it online. I don't feel strongly one way or the other about it. If that's something that we want to do, I think the only thing I would say is if we're going to do it and you give a ranking, if you can maybe keep a record of what you rank, so we can say, why did you say that was a 2 out of 5? Last time we did it, we had a couple that were not low, but middle of the road, and then nobody had any comments. So if we don't have any comments, it becomes useless. And I'm sure this isn't free, right? Or
That's a good question. I don't think it is free.
so if that's something that we are interested in doing, we can bring that next month, or I can send it to you via email.
I think that's the biggest problem with that evaluation, is everybody has a different, how they consider a scale. I mean, what they consider, understand.
So
What
maybe-
they include, somebody else might be afforded. I mean, it's,
We can do it one of two ways. We can either not do it, or we can secondarily do it and maybe give some additional guidelines around it of what I think it was 1 through 5. You know, if you say something is a 3, it needs attention.
right.
4 is, okay.
Could be a possibility too, and you guys are very comfortable with each other, that you could do it together. You
That's
could
what I was saying.
all sit around the computer and actually have a discussion about why. I mean, I don't know, it's just a thought. I mean, unless somebody really wanted to be anonymous, I don't know why you couldn't just do that.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I said, why don't we just sit together and go over them, and instead of taking the time, sending them, and everybody's gonna put their input in regardless if there's an issue when we
Yeah,
get together.
then if you have questions, then maybe.
I mean, we all work well together, we know each other, I mean.
And I don't think anybody here has a problem speaking, their mind.
No.
Not yet.
So is there a way to use that same format, or we come up with a different?
Yeah, I think you could just you could log in with what you have, bring up the
Sounds good. At this point, any future agenda items? If not, you let us know anytime before that, and we'll get them on there. So item L, adjourn to close executive session for a session before the governmental body pursuant to the exception for closed sessions under Wisconsin statute 19.851C and F for one, the purposes of considering the employment of an employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, including the medical or personal history of such employee. Two, considering the employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of an employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. The governmental body may reconvene in open session for action as appropriate regarding the matter discussed in closed session and/or to adjourn. So
I move to adjourn to closed session.
we need a roll call.
Roll call. Brian Gusky,
Yes.
Barry
Need a second.
Oh, sorry. Let's get excited.
Second.
Thank you.
Roll call.
You said? Brian Gusky,
Yes.
Barry Mastercola, Adam Heading,
Yes.
Karen Piowski,
Yes.
Jeanette Tome, she doesn't do it. Right? Okay, Ross Peterson,
Yes.
Nicole Lear, yes.
Okay, adjourn to close, and we are going to come in back into open. I'm good. Okay, we return to open session. We have item M, there's been a request by a support staff employee for an unpaid medical leave of absence, which has been discussed.
I make a motion to deny the leave.
Second.
I have a motion by Adam and a second by Barry. Any further discussion? If there's no further discussion, I'll call for a roll call vote.
Brian,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Adam,
Yes.
Karen,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Nicole, yes.
Okay, motion carried to deny the request.
I'll move to adjourn.
Your turn. Thank you.
Would you like, please, Matt?
Sure.